Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast, Season 2, Episode 7. I'm joined by Seth today. Seth, how you doing?
You know, better now that you finally brought me back on what used to be our thing and our thing only.
That's what I was going to say in the next part. You're an OG from the original Season 1.
I'm the original.
Well,
no, not well.
Snod is technically the original.
Who was on more episodes?
Overall, you, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm the original.
All right, you're the original.
Okay.
I'll give you the original creativity for that one. All right, cool. We'll take it. Season 1, OG, that's all we're going to say, okay? So, Seth, thank you so much for joining me today. Seth just got an opportunity to watch his Michigan Wolverines beat the Penn State Nittany Lions, and he's excited about that, yada, yada, yada. You know how that goes. At the end of the day, are they going to beat Ohio State?
I think so.
Say it legitimately, everything aside. I haven't watched Ohio State at all this year, so I didn't even watch them beat the crap out of my Michigan State Spartans. So I don't know.
Well, Michigan State kept it close to the first half.
Yeah,
it was like I checked and it was like 14-13, and then I stopped watching. And then when I had gone back to it, they were destroying them.
They were getting destroyed. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but anyway, so
I mean, it'll be closer than last year's game, but
right.
I don't know. I mean, Ohio State's offense has gotten a lot better.
Has it really?
But I don't think Michigan's offense has really missed a step either.
No, their offense. I know Michigan's offense is probably. Is their defense as good as last year's or no? With the loss of like Aiden Hutchinson, for instance, right?
And Ajabo, and there was a few other players. I think they weren't as good as last year to start off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they played really well against the bad teams, but I think as the season progresses, I think this game was a big win defensively.
Yeah.
Only allowing 17 points. I mean, Sean Clifford apparently got hurt, but still.
Has Penn State? I haven't even looked at Penn State's schedule. Was it all right to this point?
I think so.
They played some decent people, hopefully.
Number 10, undefeated, so.
Yeah. Yep, whatever. We'll see, I guess. But yeah, so awesome to have him back on here, guys. We always do the sneaker check really quick. So I'll go with mine first. I got the dark powder blue Air Jordan 1 lows. And he's got the
just some Adidas Oswegos.
They look like, you know what they look like?
Yeezys.
No.
Yes,
it's not even what I was going to say. Well, kind of. They kind of look like a wave runner or something that they call them. But they look like Balenciagas. That's what they look like. You know which ones I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
They look like a Balenciaga. So
they were on sale.
Hey, fake. They're a poor man's Balenciaga. That's what they are.
I'll take that.
There you go.
Because I'm a poor man.
Yep. And then I want to just touch on, before we get into the Thursday night football recap, we're going to touch on one of the bad things for my Seattle Seahawks and obviously the NFL in general. Rashad Penny, he's out for season. Kenneth Walker, his turn to step up now, and especially that Chris Carson didn't come back this year with his neck injury. So Rashad Penny being out means that it is Kenneth Walker moving forward. A little bit of DJ Dallas most likely is going to be the other one. I don't think Travis Homer will have too much of an impact, but most likely it's going to be the Kenneth Walker show from here on out. I think Kenneth Walker would be a good pickup in fantasy as far as anything else goes. He's already picked up in our league, so people have been watching that. Huh?
Is he?
I think Eiler picked him up. Yep. So that's already taken. So, but I think Kenneth Walker will get a good workload. When Rashad Penny got hurt that game, Kenneth Walker went in and I think he had 8 for 88. So
That's not bad.
He did really, and he got a touchdown. So not bad at all. One other thing too that I did check right before we started this, Jonathan Taylor is out for this game, and that's kind of surprising because they gave him off the week against the Broncos when they played Thursday Night Football last week. They gave him that game off because it was a short week, and then they're like, yeah, well, now you have 10 days to rest. We expect you back. Well, now he's already ruled out, and it's not even Sunday. So
who do they play tomorrow?
We'll see it at the end. I can't remember exactly what it is right now, but it's definitely the Colts in general just don't look great right now. So I mean, Michael Pittman's their best wide receiver, and he's not looking great. Jonathan Taylor being out. I mean, Nyheim Hines would be the next guy up, but he's also hurt. So Phillip Lindsay got pulled up from the practice squad. There's Deion Jackson, a few other people. A bunch of people. It's going to be a running back by committee there for them. Now moving in right into Thursday Night Football. recap here.
Well,
Could we even say? Go ahead. What do you got?
Why is Philip Lindsay even on just the practice squad?
I know, right? Because he was the starting running back for a while for the Broncos. I said the same thing. I heard that he got pulled up from the practice squad last week when Jonathan Taylor was out. He played a little bit, didn't play that much. Nyheim Hines got most of the looks until he got hurt. And so now Philip Lindsay will probably be the guy. I would assume so. I mean, Deion Jackson, I think there was a rookie that they picked up. It's going to be like a running back by committee for those two. Because he got some touches. He actually got more touches than Philip Lindsay did when Nyheim Hines got hurt. So I don't know. But yeah, again, I said the same thing. I was like,
yeah,
why?
That's surprising. I didn't even know he was on the practice. Honestly,
I still thought he was.
I completely forgot about him altogether.
I did the same.
Like last I knew he was on the Broncos.
That's the last I knew of him too.
Then
I didn't pay much attention to it, obviously, because I didn't know he was on the practice squad for them.
Yeah, he just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. But hey, who knows? Maybe he'll be a good backup for them.
I think he should be. I mean,
I'd assume so. But yeah, Thursday Night Football recap. To recap the game in a big scheme. Oh yeah, for you guys that don't know, if you guys didn't listen to season 1, Seth is a Bears fan. It's a crappy year to be a Bears fan. It's a crappy year to be a lot of teams fans right now.
But honestly, I'm done watching Thursday Night Football.
It's been a lot of crap games.
It's been 2 crap games in a row.
It's been a lot. I mean, we had the Commanders and the Bears, right? Commanders walked away with an astounding 12-7 victory over the Bears. Like that just sounds horrible. But some key takeaways from each team. Honestly, if you could say that there were any key takeaways, because I mean, there's good things to know. That's what this is about. It's not like key takeaways like, oh, this player did great, this player did great. But it's horrible, right? So we got the Commanders first. Brian Robinson. Did you know of Brian Robinson at all? So he goes for 17 carries, 60 yards on the ground and a touchdown. That touchdown saved him a little bit. Gets 12 fantasy points. So is Brian Robinson now the new guy in Washington, and is he the starter there moving forward? It looks as if when he came back a week ago and now in this game that he's taken over.
I think it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Right now.
In my opinion, like we'll read off the next one too.
I think they drafted him to be that guy.
Yeah.
And then coming into this season, before he got shot and all that kind of stuff, that was probably the plan, to incorporate him into that.
Yeah.
And him really just now coming back, I feel like they need to acclimate him a little bit more and kind of get him going before they can really kind of assert him as that lead back.
Well, we know the next one, I'll just take this one quick. Antonio Gibson, right? He was 5 for 35 on the ground, 3 for 4 in the air for 18 yards, so that saved him a little bit. He finished his way 8.5 fantasy points. Is it safe to say stay away from him, or is it safe to say stay away from all the Washington running backs? Because you got J.D. McKissick, you got Antonio Gibson, and Brian Robinson. But if you look at those carries, right, Antonio Gibson was the guy, and then all of a sudden it's a 5 carry to 17 carry spread.
See, if I'm being honest, I would stay away from all 3 of them. Mm-hmm. It's a different story this year than when it was last year, when it was just Gibson and McKissick in the backfield.
100%.
Because I mean, they were pretty much splitting carries equally.
It was
and
like
they were both making, they were both putting up really good numbers, whether it was, in the passing game or in the running game. But now that you incorporate a third running back into that,
it's like a running back by committee thing.
Maybe if you want to take a chance and put one of them at flex.
Antonio Gibson, amongst the prior from this week and last week, he was the guy. He was scoring. I think he scored a touchdown. I actually, in our TikTok league, I started him at flex for like 3 weeks straight, and he scored a touchdown every week. So, and that again was Brian Robinson not being there. So now that he is here, I just feel like it kind of, like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
I think J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson will get more of the passing work, but I feel like he's going to carry most of the carries, as we can tell by this. It looks like, I mean, he got over triple the carries that Antonio Gibson did.
They might have also kind of done that just to kind of see where he's at.
Right. I mean, he did decent. I think 17 carries, 60 yards, and a touchdown. That's not bad. Yeah. I mean, it's not great, but nowadays with these running backs that we got in the NFL, none of them are doing tremendous. Except for this past week. We will get that when we get through the Week 5 booms. There was a lot of really good running back booms this past week. It was like the first one that we've had, I feel like, at all. But Yeah, you can go ahead and take the next one we got up here. Another great Washington player.
Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Terrible. He sucks.
Terrible Terry.
No, I'm just kidding. He's 3 for 4 for 41 yards. I mean, he only got 8.2 fantasy points. I mean, after 6 games of 76 yards or less, what do you do with him?
What am I doing with him? If I look at like what we're just saying right there, right? 6 games with 76 yards or less. Carson Wentz was throwing the ball really good. We're going to get down into him in a second as well. Yeah, surprisingly, was. Again, the key word is was here.
Was.
As we'll get into, he did not do great this game. Neither team did good at all. I'm surprised that they won based on his numbers. But no,
it's not like they had stiff competition on the other side of the ball. Like
I would just say, if you're asking me what to do with Terry McLaurin, he is at the very max right now a flex option, and that's in a deep league. And the problem is, when you drafted Terry McLaurin, you probably drafted him in preparation for at least a wide receiver 2 for you. And it seems the next one here, I'll get into that quick. Curtis Samuel, he was 2 for 5 for 6 yards, 2.6 fantasy points. I started him against Seth this week in our money league. He's happy about that. But this logged his fewest targets throughout 6 games. Okay, all his other weeks he had 7 to 11 targets, and Is he still a must start after the bad week and after this? Because if you look at it, it's horrible, right?
I'm gonna be brutally honest.
Go ahead, say it.
I don't think any wide receiver that plays with Carson Wentz is a viable start option.
If you look over the past couple weeks, right, he's been doing pretty good. Like Curtis Samuel was obviously the number 1 guy, which nobody anticipated. Everybody anticipated Terry McLaurin being the number 1 guy. And now Curtis Samuel's been getting more targets. Like even then, he got one less reception, but he was targeted one more time. It's like I feel like this week was just a really, really bad week. I would say Curtis Samuel for me goes from a wide receiver 2 in my head to a flex option now.
I think any of them are flexes.
Yeah, I mean Jahan Dotson when he's back, he's also a flex option. It's kind of just whoever Carson Wentz can get the ball to at this point. But go ahead and take his stats. I mean, it's just
he threw for 99 yards.
Exactly, he threw for 99 yards.
Yeah, he only finished with 4 fantasy points.
Yeah,
I mean, with all that, all the stats with receivers and all that kind of stuff. I mean, is he droppable? I think so.
I think he was a good waiver wire pickup early on in the season. In the first couple weeks, and now, yes, he is droppable because after this week and last week, I agree. I mean, he just kind of, if you want to say, fumbled the bag multiple weeks in a row now. Yeah, exactly. Just drop
plummeted.
But,
he sucks.
in general, this game, right, we'll get to the Bears next year, but in general, this game was just not good in terms of the game, in terms of fantasy, in terms of watching it. It was just not good.
I don't know if you know... you watched Last Chance U, right?
Yep.
The UND one.
Yeah. I
Coach
think
Brown.
Oh, I watched a couple of that one. I didn't watch all of them, but yeah.
So he left. He left that college, right? Mm-hmm. And so he makes these videos on Sundays, right? He's on TikTok. Yeah. He'll make TikToks about certain parts of NFL games. Yeah. And I've seen multiple of them. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, the most recent one I think I saw was about Carson Wentz. Yeah. He doesn't step up in the pocket. He backpedals and then he doesn't know how to. He's not climbing the pocket. Right. No. And I think if he did that, he'd throw for more than 99 yards.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he threw for 99 yards, if you look in the terms of Terry McLaurin's numbers, he almost got half of his passing yards. Yeah. So, I mean, you can't look at the wide receivers and say that they played bad when their quarterback throws for 99 yards. So, it's just a struggle. But in the Bears side of things, right, David Montgomery, we could say, is usually he's a running back 2, usually. He was 15 for 67 yards on the ground, 1 for 1 receiving for 13 yards, 9 fantasy points he finishes with, which was the best running back performance that we had here. Actually, no, Brian Robinson had 12. But in general, they all sucked. But is David still a must-start week to week? Bad. Yeah. Is he still a must-start week to week with Khalil Herbert having a 7 for 75 on the ground as well.
Right, and this is kind of the issue that was run into last year with these two guys. Mm-hmm. Montgomery got hurt. Khalil Herbert came in.
Went off.
Played really well. Mm-hmm. David Montgomery, for me, I've seen him since he got to the Bears.
Yep.
I still think you start him.
Do you think, okay, let me ask you this question, though, because you were just saying about last year. It was the same exact thing when David Montgomery was out again. Khalil Herbert ran for over 100 yards again. And then he even though David Montgomery's back, he runs for 75 yards on 7 carries.
And see, I still say Montgomery is a starter.
You think he's over?
Because over Khalil Herbert, yes. Because, I mean, yes, Herbert ran for more yards.
Yeah.
Okay, he had what, 8 less carries. Mm-hmm. But it's always different, mm-hmm. right? Just like in, like the Michigan game.
Yeah.
Right? Donovan Edwards, he ran for more yards on less carries than Blake Corum, correct? Mm-hmm. It's always different when other players come into the game.
Yep, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like,
they might be worn out a little bit too.
Right,
from
and
taking
different
bulk.
the play might have gotten blocked better on this play than it did for this guy. Mm-hmm. So there's multiple deciding factors on whether on that kind of stuff. So I still think Montgomery's a starter. I don't think you drop Montgomery, pick up Khalil Herbert.
Well,
because
I'm saying
Montgomery's still going to get the load of the carries.
I'm saying, okay, so what I meant to say, I got to clarify that. If you were the Bears, like, if you were a coach of the Bears, who would you rather start? Would you still rather start Montgomery right now?
I'm still going to start Montgomery.
Okay.
He's still, like, in my eyes, he's still the number one guy in Chicago.
Okay.
In the backfield.
That's what I was asking. I
mean, based off of that, yardage-wise, it's pretty similar. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was 8 less carries for Khalil Herbert. But I still think
they only had one pass thrown between the two anyway. So
right. Montgomery, for me, is still the number one guy in Chicago. And he'll continue to be the number one guy in Chicago unless, of course, God forbid, he gets injured or unless he just completely tanks.
Yep.
So.
Yep. No, 100%.
My favorite player on the Bears.
I was waiting to see you take this one.
He hasn't been playing up to the expectations that I had for him.
A lot of people dropped him, and
I dropped him.
It's reasonable drop.
I dropped him, but Darnell Mooney, right, caught 7 balls on 12 targets.
12 targets. That's crazy.
For 68 yards. Mm-hmm. Not great. I didn't watch the game, but I know.
But you saved some time for yourself. That was good that you didn't watch the game.
I know. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I didn't see a clip or anything or a video, but I saw something that it popped up from Bleacher Report or something on a post-game interview with him. I don't know if this is true or not, but he dropped the pass late in the game, something like that. But, he finished with 13 points.
Oh, didn't he almost have a touchdown to score?
I think so.
I saw something like that.
And he dropped it or something.
I didn't see the end of it.
I didn't see it, but he finished with about 14 points. Mm-hmm. It's respectable. Mm-hmm. It's not terrible. Mm-hmm. It's only his second game with more than 7 points.
Out of 6 games, which is not great.
Which is it's weird because last year he had so many, but he had a lot of good games.
He was a reliable, at least flex option.
He was the number one guy last year.
Yep.
At the wide receiver, but I don't know.
Honestly, I think you started him as a wide receiver too last year for most of it.
No, he was. So last year I had Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson as 1 and 2. so I had.
It's like Bo in our league that has Stephon Diggs and Cooper Kupp now.
No, I know, and I was pissed. I couldn't get
Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I couldn't get either of those two guys back. But you think he's trending in the right direction?
So
after this game,
if we look at the targets, right, 12 targets is good for any wide receiver. That's no question at all. If he continues to get, I'd say, double-digit targets, I think he's trending up. Now, the problem is, can Justin Fields get him the ball? Because I saw a stat the other day that I want to bring up to you. He misses on 27% of his throws right now, and that is the worst in the NFL, Justin Fields.
Let me defend.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Okay. Justin Fields is one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, 100%.
He has no time. And so, he's 27%?
27% he's missing, yep.
Well, he's trying to throw everything on the run. He has no choice.
Yeah, no, I
half the time, probably 80% of his dropbacks, he's got to run for his life just to be able to make a play and get the ball downfield.
Right.
So, I think the Bears need to fix their offensive line situation.
Yep. That's a lot with a lot of the offensive lines around the league right now.
I mean,
They're
the
all
Bengals
struggling.
even tried to fix theirs, and
They're struggling. The Rams only have 2 of their starters, or I might even be 1 now after last week, on their line from when they won the Super Bowl. So that's a problem for them, as we can see, because they're struggling too. So they're actually. Did you know that the Rams are in the bottom? They're past 25. I think they're 28 in scoring. Isn't that bad? The Rams.
Really?
That's how bad they're struggling right now. But for you, I want to say this one because have you heard of Dante Pettis?
Yes.
Okay, well, he was 4 for 7 for 84 yards and a touchdown, finishes with 18.4 fantasy points. He was the fantasy guy last Thursday in that game. 12.1 in week 1 as well, so not bad.
He plays for the Bears?
He plays for the Bears, but he scored 0 points in every other week except for week 1, and this week is another fluke week for him. Because he got targeted only 3 times besides, in all the other games, besides those 2 games, the max targets he got was 3. So, and he didn't catch any of them. He had scored 0 in all of them. So would you say Darnell Mooney and him are guys to keep an eye on moving forward, or is it just
Darnell
flukes?
Mooney, regardless, eventually he's got to
do something.
They're gonna get there eventually.
It might just take him a couple.
You gotta
more
remember
games.
that they're dealing with a whole new offensive scheme.
Yeah.
Like they got all new coaches. They cleaned out shit after last season, right? So they're still trying to get going with the new system and all
They
that
need to
kind of
get
stuff.
going soon.
Dante Pettis, no, they really do. Like honestly, I'm sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
Get it together, Chicago.
It's bad. It's bad.
But no, Dante Pettis, it's a fluke week. If don't go pick him up and start him.
No, he had 7 targets, which is decent. He only caught 4 of them. He had 84 yards, decent, but the touchdown bailed him out too. Otherwise, he'd be in the same situation as Mooney with right around 13 fantasy points. So, but yeah, so that's that game. I'm glad we're done talking about those people because, to say the least, that was pathetic. But now we got the Week 5 boom takeaways. We always have a week boom segment. I do running backs and wide receivers. Just prior to, I don't do quarterbacks or tight ends in this. But tight ends, by the way, if you don't have Travis Kelce and if you don't have Mark Andrews, you really don't have anybody at this point.
Zach Ertz?
Dallas Goedert and Tyler Higbee and George Kittle are all on the topic, but they're not, have you seen the difference in point values over the next? They are 60-point difference from those 2 and everybody else that's on a tight end position. So,
wow.
Did you see how many touchdowns Travis Kelce scored?
What was it, 4?
He scored, but did you see he had 7 catches, 25 yards, 4 touchdowns. That holds the record for most, or the least amount of yardage for 4 touchdowns in a game. Prior to that, it was, some other guy that had 94 yards. So, and he only had 25.
Jeez.
Only 25 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then Mark Andrews, he scored 20-something, almost 30 points again. So, and I thought people were crazy for taking a tight end first round. Looking back now, if you take a tight end first round, it's not a bad decision. So, just to talk about tight ends first, because I don't give them love in this segment, but we'll talk about them more throughout. If they continue to go crazy, then I'm going to have a tight end segment because we need to talk about them more often. But to start off with the running back segment, we got Leonard Fournette. He was 14 for 56 yards on the ground and a touchdown. And then he was 10 for 11 for 83 yards in the air and a touchdown. 35.9 fantasy points. His past 3-week scores were 12, 18.4, and now 35.9. Is Leonard Fournette a top 5 fantasy running back if this air work continues for him? Because 10 or 11 targets, catching 10 of them, that's crazy.
Well, you got to remember, it was kind of the same thing last year.
Yep.
I think I ended up getting him on my team late in the year last year, and
he did really good.
He's not always going to get you
30.
What he lacks in certain weeks on the ground, he makes up for it in the passing game.
Yes. For instance, the 18.4, he had 3 carries for -3 yards on the ground. Did you know that? No. And then he had a receiving touchdown, and I think he caught 8 balls that week. So what you're saying is completely true. True.
He already is a top 5.
Would you say? Do you think he'll finish as a top 5 for this year? Okay,
no doubt.
It's a hard thing. I see him week after week as the 6th or 7th back that most people have him ranked at. I would say he's right around there. He's always consistently top 7 at least. So, but yeah, that was 14 for 56 on the ground is not great, but he had a touchdown with that, and then the 11 targets, catching 10 of them, and a touchdown. Obviously, that worked for him is going to be great. I don't think Tom Brady he doesn't have the weapons he had around him anymore as much so he will get more targets, I think.
Tom Brady does.
Chris Godwin, Julio Jones if he's healthy, Mike Evans. Those are his 3.
Yeah, but the problem is Brady's old.
He's looking bad, by the way.
He doesn't have the arm strength anymore.
Let's stop for 1 second.
So those little check down passes, those kind of work, because he's going to throw his shoulder out. He should have been done after this last year. I think when he retired, he should have retired. And now he's losing his family. Yeah. And That's not funny.
Hey, why are you laughing over there, Seth?
Because it caught me off guard. Okay.
He's getting divorced by his wife that's richer than him. So she's worth $500 million. So between the two of them, they're pretty much worth $1 billion right now. So it's insane.
Well, not anymore. She's taking her money and probably the kids. He's taking his money.
Well, let's not get depressing, Seth. Okay, let's not talk about her. Tom Brady just.
You brought it up.
This was funny. I got to mention this quick. The TikTok, on TikTok yesterday, I saw it was the picture of Tom Brady and his wife, and then that song with, what's his name? Brad Paisley. That he's talking about, like, if you leave or whatever, I'm gonna go fishing, right? It's either her or fishing, and he goes, I'm gonna miss her. Somebody put that picture of Tom Brady and his wife, and then all of a sudden it had that song playing, and then I'm gonna miss her, and it was him putting his helmet on. I was like, it's actually really good. It's really funny. But no, that's a pretty good one. Go ahead.
This next guy, I hate you for this, by the way, because
the only reason I got him is because I was first on the waiver wire.
Which makes no sense because I just never understand the waiver wire.
It switches each week.
I understand that, and it's dumb. Mm-hmm. But Damien Pierce, I wanted him, and I still do. We'll talk later about that.
We'll talk later.
26 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. 3 catches on five targets for 14.
Yep.
20.3 fantasy points.
Yep.
Not bad.
Yep.
Decent. Do you think he solidified himself as a running back, as an RB1?
So, obviously I listened to other fantasy talks and such. I found out that Damien Pierce is actually leading the NFL after these past 2 weeks in snaps. So he's got, I think it was 86% of the snaps. So compared to all the other running backs. So Rex Burkhead actually started out as the top guy there in the first 2 weeks. And then as soon as Damien Pierce took over, he's been 84 to 86%. So in terms of his, obviously 26 carries, that's Derrick Henry numbers, right? So 26 carries just solidifies it myself. I look at it, I'm like, yep, that's it, right? If you're getting that type of workload along with some passing work, there's no way that I can say you're not an RB1 because he's obviously the guy for the time.
Who's going to replace him? It's Houston.
Rex Burkhead, that's it.
Whoop-de-doo.
And who else is going to do anything? Davis Mills throwing to Brandon Cooks, that's it?
I hope so.
That's it. I mean, like we're saying, I think in his situation and in his offense, I think Damien Pierce has solidified himself as a running back one. It's going to be interesting moving forward to see the defenses he faces, how he does. But, I mean, heck, if he gets 25-plus carries a game, it's hard not to start him. How are you not going to? So, that's great there.
He dropped to the 4th round in the draft, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The man ran a touchdown in Florida without his helmet on.
Did he really?
Yes. His helmet got knocked off, and he continued to run, and he scored.
Were people still chasing him?
Yeah, and they were still tackling him, too.
That alone would have made me draft him first overall.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd rather have him than Jonathan Taylor right now.
Well, that's because he's hurt.
I'm only crying, okay? Just let me cry.
Suck it up. You'll be okay.
Just let me cry.
Look, just let him be out for this 1 week, and then I don't care when he comes back.
Yeah.
As long as he's not in this week, we're good.
Yeah, lucky. Well, he only had one really good game so far, though, before he got hurt. So
I mean, it's the same as, I don't know if we're going to talk about it later on, but Naji Harris.
Oh, we're going to talk about Naji.
And they're kind of in the same boat now.
We'll talk about Naji. It's a great thing.
Naji, you're pissing me off.
I drafted him first round in Dykema's league. And I have Saquon and one other guy in that league, so I'm doing okay. But I definitely am mad that I drafted him first over.
I am too.
So, but yeah.
Well, actually, auto draft got him for me.
That was one of the only ones you drafted. You said.
Oh, was
right?
It?
Yeah, that was the only one, which isn't a bad pick based on last year.
I should have let auto draft take care of the whole
rest
thing.
of it. But yeah. Anyway, the next one, Jeff Wilson Jr. He's 17 carries for 120 yards on the ground and a touchdown. 1 for 2 in the passing, 12 yards. As long as Elijah Mitchell's out, is it safe to say that Wilson is at least an RB2 in your eyes right now? He's been getting consistently 17 carries.
RB2, flex, either one.
In those ones. Yeah.
I think either one it'd work.
Yeah. I mean, he's not doing like outstanding, but he's doing well enough. Like for instance, I picked up Damien Pierce and I had Jeff Wilson Jr. on my bench. When Jonathan Taylor didn't play last week, I started Damien Pierce there and I put Jeff Wilson Jr. at flex, and they both scored 20 plus fantasy points.
It works.
So it works as long as he gets the carries. Yeah. And I think he will continue. As long as Elijah Mitchell's out, I think he is the guy in the 49ers offense. So I think that's safe to say.
Saquon Barkley.
Good old Saquon.
No, it's about time he's finally come back onto the scene.
Well, it's good because he's not hurt, just like CMC, right?
Not true.
So,
13 carries, 70 yards on the ground. Not Saquon numbers that you would expect to see a couple years ago.
But a touchdown in the Wildcat, he got it in.
I'm saying a few years ago, Saquon numbers are.
Yeah, in terms of carries and such, yeah.
3 for 6 for 36 yards in receiving, 19.6 fantasy points. Saquon's worst game this season was 11.8 fantasy points and 72 yards on the ground. Is Saquon the number one back in fantasy? Me personally, I wouldn't say so.
If you look at, obviously 11.8 being his worst week out of, 5 weeks now, because they haven't played yet, obviously. It's not bad, dude. Saquon Barkley, where he was drafted this year, right, it was evident that people were looking at it as if he's going to get hurt again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like CMC. If he plays, and he's going to be the guy in that offense. And so you got to look at that. I would say it's hard to say because there's a lot of good, like the top 7 fantasy running backs right now could all be flipped around each week. I would say he's consistently a top 5. And if you got him where you got him, I'd be happy. Like I got him in the 3rd round or something when in Dyko's league. So I was surprised that he was sitting there. People just start nervous to play him.
I know. But that's why I didn't draft him.
Yeah, but I was like, you know what? We're going Saquon behind Naji, and now Saquon's way better than Naji. So, I would say I want to say he's necessarily the number 1 at the moment. I would say he's at least the top 5 though, consistently. So that's good to know. But and then one guy that I heard a lot about in the preseason and never pulled the trigger on was Breece Hall. Breece Hall coming in, I was like, rookies, running backs, they're either going to be really good or they're going to be really bad. I didn't know too much about him. I was like,
I knew he was going to be really good.
Yeah. Well, he's at the Jets though. That's the problem.
Auto draft let me down.
But he had 18 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown. And then he was 2 for 2, get this, for 100 yards. He had 2 catches, split amongst those. There's 50 yards a catch.
You know what that reminds me of?
Who? You?
Myself.
You had 2 catches for 100 yards?
Back in my younger days, yes.
Dude, it's just crazy to look at that. I love looking at that number. It's funny. That's why I put an exclamation point there. But Breece's 5 weeks so far, okay? 10.1, 13, 15.2, 15.8, and now 27.7 this week with that number. If you have Breece Hall, are you starting him as one of your running back spots?
With my running backs, yes.
Do you see? His numbers are only going up. They're only going up right now. So I don't think it'll consistently stay around that 27. I think he will continue to get 15 plus, though. I would say that.
I think you start him.
Well, Michael Carter was getting, and he still got a touchdown this week. Michael Carter did, but Michael Carter was the guy throughout those first couple weeks, and he still was scoring over 10. So being that it looks like Breece Hall is going to be the guy now, yeah, I think he's a must start. If he's probably, if I drafted him somewhere, which I didn't, but if he was on my team, he is my number 2 running back right now behind whoever I picked.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree. So
the Jets, though, too. As a whole,
they surprised me, dude. They beat some good teams.
The Giants too.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Cowboys still are overrated. But we'll get into that later.
Dude, I can't believe. Yeah, let's talk about that later.
Cowboys suck. Be mad. Not possibly. He is my number one favorite running back to ever have on my fantasy team, Derrick Henry. Need we say any more?
I mean, that's what I was thinking.
King
but
Henry. We could honestly just skip everything about him and just move on.
Well, the problem is, right? He started this season out, and I drafted him first overall in our TikTok league. And
screw you.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I'm glad I didn't pick Jonathan Taylor. Now,
how do you always get these first overall picks?
And that one, right? But listen, I was nervous to start because he had 8.3 and 8.5 fantasy points week 1 and 2. And I said this prior to any games this year, I said, because I picked Jonathan Taylor actually last year as my go-to running back, like my ride or die. Well, I picked Derrick Henry as my ride or die this year, and that's because I thought he was going to come back on a vengeance after his injury. He's looking that way now, right? He's looking that way now. I was nervous at the beginning of the year, but if Derrick Henry is in there, my dad picked him up, and I had when I helped my dad draft, he got him at number 7. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised somebody let him drop to 7. Like, I think Derrick Henry is amongst, as long as he's getting the carries like he had here. He had 28 for the 102 and 2 touchdowns. Like, that's just crazy. 2 for 2 for 30 yards in the air, 27.2 fantasy points. And that's, now 3 games in a row with 23-plus fantasy points. I don't know. I mean, is he a top 3 back the rest of the year in your eyes? Because in my eyes, yeah. I think he's probably, like, number 3.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Why
I think
not?
he's number 1.
Ooh. Okay.
He'll always be number 1.
I have a question.
I might have an answer.
Let's read through the rest of these and then let's talk. Because I have one guy.
There won't be much to talk about. It's still going to be number 1.
I have one guy who I had in like all my leagues last year, and I decided to pass on in all my leagues this year, and now he's the guy for sure. So we'll talk about him in a second. I'll take the next one here. Josh Jacobs, okay. He was on I have a Scared to Boom section, as we're going to find out here, and he's been on it like the first 3 weeks, I think he was, and now he was 21 for 154 yards and a touchdown, 5 for 5 for 39 yards in the air, 30.3 fantasy points. This makes it 2 straight games of over 30 fantasy points. Can he keep this production up after the slow start he had?
I think so, because the Raiders have already passed that point in the season where somebody gets arrested on the team. So I don't think you have anything else to worry about with him.
That's horrible. After
so,
well, no. Okay, I gotta mention it now. He's in the wide receivers. You saw about Devonte Adams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's not gonna be arrested, but he's gonna get charged with something most likely.
Well, yeah. So he'd be arrested.
Said, well,
he already got charged.
Did he?
Yeah.
I didn't even see it. What did he get charged? Did he get charged with assault? Probably.
Something pertaining
he's
to bodily
He's not gonna get arrested though. I think he's. We'll talk about that in a second. But Josh Jacobs, yes, he's going to continue his production.
Yeah, because he has no risk of being arrested anymore.
After week 5, that's like, okay, no risk of being arrested. Is that what you're?
One Raiders player every year gets in legal trouble and gets arrested, so that's already passed.
Hey,
so
guess who has never been in legal trouble and been there forever? Derek Carr.
Give him a couple more years. He keeps hanging out with all these dudes that aren't getting arrested.
Yeah, but he's been there forever, man. Don't diss on my guy Derek Carr like that.
All right. He couldn't even keep his boy Devonte in check.
Yeah, he should
have.
Now
look, he caught a charge in Kansas City.
Yeah. Crazy. But yes, Josh Jacobs, great. He'll do great moving forward.
Yeah, no more arrests. Austin Eckler. Possibly the greatest trade I've ever made in fantasy.
Okay, let's say this. And Ashton, I hope you're listening to this because it pisses me off. Being the league manager, I let it slide because I'm like, well, obviously he sent you the trade. You didn't send him the trade. So I was like, well, it's something that he thinks is going to be good. And it was early enough. It was like week 3 or 2. Austin Eckler, he trades Austin Eckler to Seth in return for Michael Pittman.
I think wasn't there another one?
No. Believe me, I have this picture in my head. It literally says, Team Eiler request a trade to Team Ritzma. he's going to give up Austin Eckler, and he's going to get Michael Pittman. I'm like, you made this trade? I said, I let it slide. I'm upset about it because it's stupid, but
that's
apparently
fine.
he thought
you know
something
how
in his
many
head.
of my trade?
Oh. Who is it?
I'll give you one guess.
Oh. I think I know who it is.
Who?
Jordan?
No.
Oh, it's not? Oh, does it start with a C?
Pays my bills.
Yeah, okay. That's what I said. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I thought, how stupid. It's so stupid. Just read his stat line, too, because, yeah, I'm upset. I'm upset about it. Go still go.
16 carries, 173 yards.
Stupid.
And a touchdown.
Stupid.
4 catches on 4 targets for 26 yards and another touchdown. 35.9 fantasy points.
Hey, him and Leonard, exact same numbers.
No, I know. 2 straight games over 34 points now.
Crazy.
I'm loving it. Is Austin going to continue this trend?
So
I hope so.
Can I say one thing? This is what I think is honestly going to happen. Keenan Allen is not coming back this week. He's still questionable. They haven't moved him out yet. He's been out since week 1. Okay, so Mike Williams is the only guy that's getting decent production in the wide receiver core, and Austin Eckler is getting a lot of that along with his rushing yards. But when Keenan Allen comes back, I think Mike Williams and Austin Eckler will be, I don't think crazily affected by it, but they're going to be affected by it.
Right.
So I would say Austin Eckler, you can count on probably for when Allen comes back, 15 plus still. But as far as Allen being out, I would say Austin Eckler probably be 20 plus. So I think it's like a 5-point difference as long as Keenan Allen's in. It'll be interesting to see. That's my opinion on it. I think Austin Eckler is still obviously going to continue a trend of being really good. I just don't think he'll continue to have over 30 fantasy points.
I hope he does.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you do. After you get a ridiculous trade sent to you and you're like, oh, what is it, Christmas morning or something?
That's really honestly how I felt.
Okay, all right. So the next one here, Seth, this is what I was going to say. This is the argument I want to have. I personally love Derrick Henry. He's my favorite one to watch. I think he's a freaking tank at a running back. I don't think it's fair to have a 6'3", 250-pound running back. I just don't think it's fair. Nick Chubb, 17 carries for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was 0 for 1 in receiving, though. 25.4 fantasy points. What is your view on Nick Chubb in terms of how well he will do the rest of the season? His worst week out of 5 weeks, 15.3 fantasy points. Now, I am crying inside that I never took him because I did last year. Kareem Hunt seems to have been, I mean, he's still doing decent as a backup, like a 2, and they throw him in every once in a while for touchdowns. But Nick Chubb's getting the touchdowns this year that I didn't think he was going to be getting. So the problem I don't like, so Derrick Henry never used to get receiving work. He's getting some looks now. Nick Chubb that's his only weakness. But if you want a consistent running back right now that you can count on for, I mean, his worst game, 15.3 fantasy points. If you want a consistent running back you can count on for probably at least 20 right now, I would say Nick Chubb is your
Henry.
guy. You think?
Yeah, Nick Chubb dropped his only pass. Sucks.
Okay.
Derrick Henry's always going to be the number 1 running back in fantasy football.
Okay. Right now, I guarantee you that Nick Chubb finishes with more rushing yards.
I guarantee you he doesn't.
Shake on it. Let's make a bet on this. What's our bet?
Drinks.
Drinks? All right, here we go. We got
drinks.
On a round of drinks on camera right now. I think Nick Chubb at the end of this regular season, right, is going to finish with more than Derrick Henry will.
Ooh, my knee.
Put it up on there, and we're going to have a chart up here soon that we're going to have all our bets on.
Oh, I'm going to order the most expensive margarita that I can possibly find.
I'm excited to see that because I think
You're going to buy me a bottle of wine at Ruth's Chris.
First off, I'm not going there.
Yeah, you are, because that's where I'm going to want my drink.
Well, that's where I'm going to want you to buy me a steak.
We just bet drinks.
Well,
We didn't bet a steak.
I want a steak. That's my drink.
You want to change it to a steak dinner?
I'll drink a steak.
You want to change it to a steak
No,
dinner?
we can keep drinks.
Okay.
I think you really are that confident in the fact of he'll have more rushing yards than Nick Chubb? You know Nick Chubb's leading him right now.
That's fine.
Okay. All right.
It's early.
Cool. I'm down. But yeah, no, I think Nick Chubb's probably if I'm putting somebody at number 1 for most consistent, that's him right now.
Or myself.
Yeah, I mean, Seth is like the 6'3", 250, you know, except he's 6'1" or 6 foot and 220, right? Somewhere around there.
Yeah. Yep.
230? Yeah, okay. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, honest to God, like the only reason I didn't pick Nick Chubb, though, I want to say quick, is because Kareem Hunt seemed to get all the touchdowns last year. It's just not working out the same way this year thus far. So Nick Chubb, in my opinion, is one of the best backs to have at the moment. So
one of, not the best.
Is the most consistent back at the moment.
One of the best, not the best. Dalvin Cook. Let's move away from Nick Chubb.
Can I say one thing about Dalvin before you read his stat line? He's been on my Scared to Boom section for like 3 weeks straight. So I'm glad he's on my boom section for now. So go ahead.
Dalvin Cook is Dalvin Cook.
I have one other thing to say once you read it. Go.
18 carries, 94 yards.
Okay.
Not bad.
It's all right.
2 touchdowns.
Rookie numbers. 2 touchdowns, okay.
2 catches on 2 targets for another 27 yards in the air.
Mm-hmm.
26.1 fantasy points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll take that any day of the week from one of my running backs.
Yeah, but
neither of my running backs give me that.
Yeah,
other than Austin Eckler.
But what else though, Seth?
Well, I mean, his best game before this was 13.8 points.
Yep.
Was it a fluke?
Yes.
I don't think so.
You want to know why? If you look at the target or the carry share right now between Alexander Mattison and Dalvin Cook, it's almost 50-50. That's a problem. Okay? That is a problem. Dalvin Cook had 18 carries, and they did all this, right? He had 2 touchdowns. He got lucky. He was close on the goal line. They gave it to him. That is not going to continue to happen.
So you said it's 50-50 with Madison?
It's close to 50-50 split right now between the running game and the passing game.
Okay, just...
What are you doing?
Give me 1 second.
Are you going to go look at Madison's numbers?
Give me 1 second.
That's what he's going to go do right now. I can't wait for my drinks that I'm going to get from Nick Chubb having the most yards. What's up? What did Madison have in passing and receiving this last week? Receiving and running. Carries and passing targets.
He had 9 carries for 19 yards.
Okay.
Against Chicago.
Okay, what was his passing or receiving?
3 receptions on 4 targets for 21 yards.
Okay. Did he have a touchdown?
No, he hasn't scored a touchdown. Well,
the week before.
He's only scored 2 touchdowns this whole season.
Okay. Yeah, but how many has Dalvin Cook scored? 3? That's the problem. I don't have my phone in my hand for this, but so Seth's going to look this up for me. How many, Seth?
3.
Yeah, exactly. 3. So, he scored 2 of his 3 last week. So, this is what I'm saying. I think Dalvin Cook is Dalvin Cook. Yes, I agree with your statement with that. But I wouldn't put him as a top 10 running back right now, along with Naji. I don't put either one of them there.
No, you shouldn't.
Oh, so now you're going to say, now you're going to agree with me after looking at that?
Oh. Well, yeah, I mean.
Okay. Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah,
I rescind.
I agree.
I rescind. Move on.
Alvin Kamara. Okay. He's had 7 points in his 2 games. Jail? Yeah. Alvin Kamara, 23 rushing attempts for 103 yards on the ground, 6 for 6 for 91 in the air, 23.4 fantasy points. As long as he stays healthy and out of jail. Is he considered a top 5 back?
Yeah, just don't send him to the Pro Bowl.
You know, actually, I forgot about that. I did forget about that.
Don't send him to the Pro Bowl. He'll end up right back in Las Vegas, whatever.
Yeah. No, but no, I mean, Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara, and the offense he's in, I think he's in a good offense for production in his hands. So whatever you want to say, he's good.
Right.
He's good when he plays. He's good. I'd say I don't know about top 5 though. I feel like with all the running backs that we just named off, I wouldn't put him necessarily in top 5. Maybe top 7.
Yeah.
Probably be at number 7.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the wide receivers.
Let me handle these next two.
Oh, you want the next two? Go ahead.
Yes.
I'll give them to you because
I'm gonna just read the names: Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Jay Jettis, 12 catches on 13 targets for 154 yards, ended up with 30.32 fantasy points. Stephon Diggs 8 for 11 for 102 yards and a touchdown, 24.2 points.
Now answer.
What can we? There's nothing to say about Justin Jefferson other than future Hall of Famer.
Please read though after the Stephon Diggs thing because I want to talk about this.
Okay, you want to talk? We can talk. There's not much to talk about, but we can talk about it.
Say it.
Who is more reliable, Diggs or Jefferson? Jefferson.
No.
What?
No.
I'm leaving.
No. Go. Do me a favor. Go look right now on his stat line over the 5 weeks and look at Stephon Diggs over 5 weeks. Do it.
I'm not going to.
Because Justin Jefferson had 2 games with 10 or less fantasy points.
My opinion is that Justin Jefferson is more reliable. And guess what? My opinion is the only opinion that matters.
Okay? Let me say something. And listen.
I'm listening.
He is Darius Slay's son. When they played the Eagles, he got 4 points.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Stop. He's nobody's son.
Okay. Look at it, though. Do you believe it?
I believe you.
So, in terms of reliable, you know that Stephon Diggs is over Justin Jefferson and in the ranks as wide receiver right now. And that's because he's more reliable. Now, this is probably what you're thinking in your head. Who's the one that I'm going to start and say who's going to have more fantasy points? I would think Justin Jefferson. But if I have reliability in my head, it's the same thing with Nick Chubb. That's consistency, and that's what I like to see, and Diggs is more consistent than Justin Jefferson.
Let me come to bat here. Let me step up to the plate for Justin Jefferson real quick. Let's compare quarterbacks for these two guys.
Well, okay.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
On one side, you have Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Right? The other side, you got Kirk Cousins.
Okay, but one thing I can say here, I agree with what you're saying, but Kirk Cousins only pretty much throws to Justin Jefferson.
Because that's the only one he's gotten to throw to.
Exactly. So he's seeing all those targets. Well, not really, because I just traded away Thielen, and he's not been looking good, and I thought he was going to do way better this year, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Stephon Diggs is great, and he's consistent, but Josh Allen also has a couple other guys he throws to. So that's the only reason that Justin Jefferson is doing what he is doing. If you threw a Cooper Kupp, you threw even a Tyler Lockett, a Stephon Diggs, anybody else along in that offense with Justin Jefferson, his production would cut in half. And that's because he is truly the only one that he throws to. It's the same thing with Cooper Kupp, right? Tyler Higbee and Cooper Kupp are the only two that Matthew Stafford throws to.
Until Odell comes back.
I know. I've been looking at that, by the way. I think it's going to happen. If it does happen, it won't happen until the end of November, but it'll probably happen. But yeah, I mean, honest to God, they're both great wide receivers. What else do we really have to say about it, okay?
Right.
So I'll take the next one here. Tyler Lockett, okay? 5 for 6 for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns, 27.4 fantasy points. Lockett's 5-week span so far, 5.8 points, and that was his first week with Geno starting, so I can see that. 19.7, 16.6, 13.1, and now 27.4. Has he solidified himself as a must-start option?
Yes.
I think he's more reliable right now than DK is. I think he gets more targets, and I think he's quick enough to do stuff with it as well.
That's because DK, all he eats is candy.
Can you believe that?
And he still looks the way he does.
He's shredded as crap.
I try to eat healthy, and I look the way I do.
It's not fair, right?
No, it's not.
No, honest to God, it's not fair because the amount of stuff that he eats and drinks and looks with this shredded 8-pack, I agree. It's not fair. Not fair. But yeah, I mean, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, with Geno Smith playing now, Geno Smith is playing better than Russell Wilson is. That's a hard thing to say. And yeah, I just picked up Geno Smith in our league, and I'm going to start him over Justin Herbert this week. Because Justin Herbert is playing the Broncos, and Geno Smith didn't do great against them. Okay? I mean, he did decent enough. They won. But I think Geno Smith against the Cardinals defense is a better option than Justin Herbert against the Broncos defense.
Right.
So I'm starting Geno Smith. I'm a Seahawks fan, and I'm not playing them just because I like them. I'm saying this because their stat lines don't lie, and they are looking good. So I like it. I like it a lot.
This next one, we don't even, it's going to not take any time at all. Devonte Adams caught a case, ran into his own teammate, lost the game. Boo-hoo. Cooper Kupp.
You're going to just skip Devonte?
Yeah, we don't care about him.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, fine. 3 for 7, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 badly run route, 1 case. There. 27.4 fantasy points in jail time. Cooper Kupp, 7 and 10.
I'll take Devonte Adams. Can I just say one thing? He has had only 2 games with more than 5 receptions. And he still has a stat line that's insane.
Yeah.
Because it's Devonte Adams. But yeah, I mean, he's going to miss at least 1 game. So, yeah. I mean,
Cooper Kupp.
Go.
Cooper Kupp. Picking up right where he left off last year.
Yeah, honest to God, dude. I never saw. I didn't think it was going to continue like it is.
And he's not a flashy receiver. He's. What's the word I'm looking for?
How do people not know? Like, honest to God, they won the Super Bowl with this guy, and they only threw to him pretty much. How do people not know how to cover him? I would triple team him if you need to.
Listen, no, because he doesn't have like breakaway speed, but he plays the position with like perfect mechanics.
And his route running is great.
It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It looks like mine.
You know what, Seth? You actually look like Cooper Kupp.
I think
the ginger version of Cooper Kupp.
Thanks. He's got a hot wife. Marquis Brown, 8 for 10 for 78 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay. He has 10-plus targets in every game except for 1 this season, and it was week 1. Do you think that Marquis is a must-start wide receiver?
Yes. And that is because of that stat line you just read out. He's had 10-plus targets in every game except for week 1. And that's his first week in Arizona starting, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, numbers don't lie when it comes to fantasy because that's where PPR is big, right? If you're getting at least 10 targets a game, that means you have a possibility of at least getting 10 points just off of your catches. And that's disregarding the yardage. So, yeah, I mean, he finished with what? I didn't put his thing on there. But I think he was 23. I think he got like 23, right?
Yeah, probably somewhere around there.
He said, I looked at it, 3 games so far. There are 3 in a row now with over 20 fantasy points. I mean, Marquis Brown was his go-to guy for Lamar Jackson. And with DeAndre Hopkins being out, he's the only guy besides Zach Ertz that Kyler Murray can really throw to reliable.
He should throw to Zach Ertz more often.
I agree. I have him in 1 league, but
I have him in the important league.
I traded you him.
Money's on the line.
Hey, by the way, though, I'm not really upset about it because Tyler Higbee's the only other guy that's getting receptions besides Cooper Kupp on that Rams team.
True.
So, and honest to God, they're both probably in the same tier right now. So, because of that.
That's a fair point.
The last one, Gabe Davis, 3 for 6 for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns, 32.1 fantasy points. Davis had 18.8 in week 1. He was out in week 2. He had a combined 9 points in weeks 3 and 4. Is this an every once in a while game for Gabe Davis?
Yes.
Yes.
He's a very inconsistent wide receiver.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. You're going to get this game from him every once in a great while. Maybe every 3 games. But if you're starting Gabe Davis, and the funny thing is, I do have to say this, if Bo would have played him against me last week, he would have won. But he sat him. So I won. Happy about it. Same thing. I played Isaac in the Dykema League. He didn't play him, but he still beat me. But yeah, I mean, I was happy that people sat him. And that's one of the things, though. When you have Gabe Davis, he's probably a bye week throw-in, right? I'm not playing him because of his inconsistency. He's obviously got a really high ceiling, but his floor is not great. So, yeah, I mean, it's Gabe Davis. So you're going to get every once in a great while. So the next segment we have here, Seth, you're going to like this segment because we get to, yell at players pretty much.
Sucks. I hate you. Score more points. I just dropped you, so I don't care about you anymore.
Okay. Seth is excited about this. The Scared to Boom segment, right? I say this because it's almost like players get some opportunities and they just don't want to do anything with them. That's why I put it Scared to Boom, because they just don't want to do anything with it. Aaron Jones, 10 fantasy points. Aaron Jones has been on here a few times. Aaron Jones hasn't been on here a few times because he had 30-plus points. Aaron Jones is so inconsistent, it's scary.
That's fine by me.
Yeah.
Look, him, and I see the other one down there, A.J. Dillon, Those are both fine by me.
A.J. Dillon got 3.4 fantasy points.
That's fine.
Yeah. This is what I was thinking,
They
right?
play for the Packers. I don't care about the
Yeah, I
fantasy
don't like
points.
the Packers either. Aaron Jones, okay. If he has a bad game, I think A.J. Dillon has a good game. If A.J. Dillon has a bad game, I think Aaron Jones has a great game. This isn't the case for this week. Combined, they only had 13 fantasy points. So
And Aaron Rodgers has a good game.
yeah, and Aaron Rodgers still hasn't been playing good, honestly. So, but yeah, I mean, they're both not great. Darren Waller, he had 0 fantasy points. Thank God. He was the last one that I played against in 2 of my leagues, and he got hurt, and that's the reason
You
I put him.
you can't really put him.
I put him on here. I put got hurt on there, but he got hurt in the late second quarter, so he could have at least had 1 catch or a couple catches.
How many targets did he have?
I don't remember, 4-ish, I think, something like that, maybe. I don't know. But him and George Kittle, right, are both on this list as tight ends. And like I said, I don't talk about tight ends too much, but 7.7 fantasy points. In terms of tight ends right now, it's not like it's horrible. Unless you have Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce, there's really not much to talk about in terms of getting over 20 fantasy points ever. So, I mean, it's just a struggle, man, because you drafted Darren Waller and you drafted George Kittle anticipating a lot of points from them. The problem with George Kittle is it's not him. It's that he needs to block a lot for that team because the 49ers are struggling in that category. So once maybe they figure out their blocking situation, then I think George Kittle might actually start doing some great things. But for now, I mean, he's just too well utilized there.
Right.
So take the next one after AJ there.
Oh my!
I want to know your opinion on this guy.
That neck crack felt amazing, by the way.
Sounded good.
I'm on Ross St. Brown. Don't really care about his fantasy. Well, actually, no. Let me rephrase that. I do, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't because he's a Lion. I do because he's on my team.
What team?
One of the 3. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Jordan seems to think he's his gem that he has.
No. So I don't think he's scared to boom. He's proven that he can.
Yeah. Yep.
Plenty of times.
The problem is the Lions all played like garbage last week.
Oh yeah, I mean they got shut out.
Mm-hmm. It was bad.
So I mean,
when 5.8 is actually
yeah,
all right.
I don't think you can put him under scared to boom. I mean, the whole offensively, just ugh.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk.
He's been doing great this season. He really has. But 2.1 fantasy points? That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, though? Because he's been doing really good. So, I mean, I guess he's not scared to boom. But he had some targets this week. He dropped a couple and scored only 2.1 fantasy points. I hope he's not on here again. I actually, in the case of, I traded him to Jordan. So, yeah, I hope he's on here the rest of the season. But, I mean, he's been doing great.
I hope this next one's not on here again.
Read it.
Najee Harris. I'm about to drop him, too.
I'm about to drop kick him. Because he's playing that bad. 6.6 fantasy points. I didn't even put any of the other stats next to all these guys, but I think he's only scored like over 10 points once this season.
Yeah.
That is sad. Like, I don't even know what else to say. I mean, this is just garbage. Just whatever. And then the same thing with Cam Akers, man. 3.3 fantasy points.
20 minutes ago.
Darrell Henderson was the guy when the season started. Now both of them are splitting carries. Nobody's doing anything in that offense except for Cooper Kupp, and like I said, the backseat is Tyler Higbee right now. Those two are the only ones. And even Matthew Stafford is not a reliable fantasy option. He has thrown 6 touchdowns this year. You know how many interceptions he's thrown? 9.
Wow.
So he's thrown 3 more interceptions than he has passing touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, the Rams used to be a great team last year, and they got to figure something out. I don't know what it is, but they got to figure it out. How about the next one? TJ Hawkinson, okay? Again, 1.6 fantasy points. They got shut out. But the week before, he had 39.4 fantasy points.
He's not scared to boom. I don't think Joe Mixon is scared to boom. Jalen Waddle, I don't think he's scared to boom.
He is after 2 weeks of bad performances. Jalen Waddle has scored under 6 points in the last 2 weeks.
I think he'll come back this week. CEH.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
You're just too lazy to type it out.
Yep. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, I have a question about this right now because he's been doing really good, but they also have Jerick McKinnon and they also have that new guy. I can't pronounce his name right. That's been doing really good and running really hard. So I think if you had Clyde Edwards-Helaire and you could still get rid of him for a decent trade, do it because he is not going to be great the rest of the year.
Trade him to me. I'll take him.
Yeah, you probably would. Then the last one on this list I put James Conner, 7.3 fantasy points. He has had under 10 fantasy points in 4 weeks now. He started out decent.
It's kind of like Naji Harris.
Yeah, I mean, James Conner was the go-to guy for touchdowns last year. He had more touchdowns than any other running back did last year. And now he's struggling. And it's funny because he had a couple other guys there with him last year. Chase Edmonds was there with him last year. And he had more touchdowns then than when he's the lead guy now.
Right.
So I think it's funny with that whole thing because I never saw it coming. I thought he was going to be great this year. But he's I mean, whatever. He's average, subpar. Now the last segment here, Seth, that we have is this is week 3. Week 6 predictions. Okay?
Ravens, Giants. I got this. This whole list. You ready?
Well, I want to say what I got.
I don't care about what you have to say.
Go.
Ravens, Giants at MetLife Stadium.
Who you got?
Giants.
Really?
Yes.
Giants
in a close one, 2017.
I'm taking Ravens.
Jags, what's the score?
I'm going to take the Ravens like 30-17.
Wow. Jags, Colts, Jags.
You know, after the way the Colts have been playing, Jags, 100%.
17-13.
Jags haven't been doing bad either, surprisingly. So I got Jags. What'd you say?
17-13.
I think it's going to be a 20-10 game. 20-10.
Patriots versus Browns. I'm taking the Browns.
You know, the Patriots are looking better. They have Bailey Zappi at quarterback, though. Did you see that? And they have Ramondre Stevenson, Jacoby Myers. Okay, but yeah, I'm taking Browns all day. I'm going to say like 24-7.
31-17.
Okay, high scoring.
Bengals, Saints, Bengals.
You know, it's a tough one. I'm going to go with Bengals as well. I think the Bengals started out a little bit rough this year, but I think they're getting back on track. I got the Bengals in a close one, though.
21-10.
I'm thinking 21-17 for that one. They're going to be close.
Bucks, Steelers.
Do we have anything else to really say about that game?
No.
After the Steelers got demolished last week? I think it'll be a similar score.
Steelers.
You're good? No. Get out of here. Okay, go ahead. What's your score of that game, then? Are you actually taking the Steelers?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to take the Steelers.
I'm going to jump out the window right now.
17-13.
You're crazy. The Bucks are going to win 28.
Crazy.
28. You know what? I'll be generous too. 28-10.
Wow.
The Bucks are going to win.
All right, Niners, Falcons.
Niners, all day. The Niners are playing too good. Niners over the Falcons.
I don't like the Niners, Falcons.
I got 17-14 Niners.
24-10 Falcons.
Okay.
Jets, Packers. Jets.
Really?
Yes.
You know what? I'm actually going to I want to ride that train with you. I'm going to take the Jets over the Packers
24-13.
24-14.
Vikings, Dolphins.
Yeah.
Dolphins. Easy.
The way you think with Skylar Thompson playing at quarterback?
All right, that's right. Tua's a little wuss.
Tua's out, and Teddy Bridgewater's also out with a concussion. So
What a bunch of pansies.
I'm actually going to take the Vikings because of this reason.
Concussions are all in your head.
You're right. It is all in your hair.
Rub some dirt on it. Put your pads back on. I'm still taking the Dolphins.
I'm taking the Vikings. I think it'll be a close one. I'm going to take the Vikings. Actually, I feel like this is going to be a low-scoring game or a high-scoring game, one of the two.
I'm taking Dolphins 17-14.
I'm going to take, you know what, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that's going to be a high-scoring game. So I'm going to put 28-24 Vikings.
Panthers, Rams.
Panthers, Rams, who you got?
Rams 38-10.
This is one of those games where I think Baker Mayfield's not going to start, and I think it'll help them a little bit. And the Panthers' defense is underrated. I'm going to take the Panthers 24-20 over the Rams.
What?
Because the Rams are a hard team to put points on the board right now.
Okay.
So I'm taking the Panthers 24-20.
Cards, Seahawks.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Seahawks.
Yeah, you are? You're going to take them?
Yeah.
Okay.
17-10 Seahawks.
You know, I'm going to be optimistic because it's my team. I'm going to say, you know what? This is going to be a high-scoring game because the Seahawks' defense suck and their offense is pretty good, and they've been scoring a lot of points lately. So I'm going to say it's actually going to be 34-28 Seahawks. Did you see the last few games? They scored over 30 points both games. So, yeah.
Agree. Bills, Chiefs, Bills.
This is going to be a high-scoring game.
Bills 30, 35, 27.
Yeah, I think that's a fair one. You know the problem is that the Bills I thought were really, really freaking good, and they lost to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins
Look how many injuries they had, though.
That game.
You got to take that into account. Please and thank you.
You know what? Just because I like the Bills, I'm not a Bills fan, but I really like the Bills.
I like Josh Allen.
Yeah, I like Josh Allen. I like Stephon Diggs. You know what? I wanted to pick the Chiefs just because I feel like they might win, but I like the Bills here, so I'm going to take a large 28-24 win for the Bills.
Wow.
Okay.
Cowboys, Eagles.
Sunday Night Football, baby. Cowboys and Eagles. You got 4-1 and 5-0.
Eagles.
Can I ask you one question before I say who I think's going to win? Do you think it's smart for the Cowboys to put Dak Prescott back in now?
Nope.
I don't either. If he okay, actually, you want to know what? I'm doing this, Seth, because the Cowboys' defense is that freaking good. They are. If you don't believe me, cry about it. Listen. Cooper Rush, if he plays, I bet you they have a chance.
No.
If Dak plays, they're going to lose by a
I'm going to cut you off right there. Stop.
What's the score? What's your score?
38 to, no, I'm going to go 31-10.
You think the Eagles are going to score 31 points on the Cowboys defense?
Yep. Easy.
I'm going to take, you know what, just because I feel like they're going to play Dak because they're stupid, I'm going to say the Eagles are going to beat the Cowboys, but this is the score. 17-10.
Too low scoring, but I mean.
I'm surprised the Eagles will even score that much, honestly.
Chargers, Broncos.
And Monday Night Football. Chargers. Broncos are playing horribly.
Broncos.
No, you would. You would pick that.
I think that
Dak. See, this is the problem. You don't even know what team you're talking about.
I think Russell Wilson is finally going to wake up and realize that he needs to stop robbing the Broncos franchise.
Do you know he has a partially torn lat?
Million. Cry about it. Throw a football.
It's just throwing lat right here. Boom.
Oh, partially torn. Chargers.
Oh, you're going to switch it now?
Yeah.
I got Chargers in this one. I think the Broncos defense is more, 3-0?
3-0.
I was going to say, I think they're better, so I think it'll be low scoring.
Wait, no. 17-0 because I need Austin Eckler to have at least one touchdown.
Okay. 14-3 Chargers.
Okay.
That's what I'm taking. But yeah, this concludes Season 2, Episode 7. I think we had some good conversations. We placed a bet on this podcast as well, so somebody's going to have to buy drinks. Nick Chubb, keep running for all those yardage. I love it, man.
Landon, Jordan, I told you I was better than both of you at this. I'm the OG. Take a seat.
Hey, guys, I want you to comment down below. Who is the best guest I've had so far on the YouTube version?
Me. Hi.
And we'll see who says what. So.
How's it going?
But,
I'm not Landon. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Seth, Landon, Jordan are all going to argue now about who's the best. But I'm going to keep my opinion out of this, all right? But yeah.
That's Abby.
I mean, Seth and Caleb, they're the OGs. You guys are two. I got to say, you guys are probably the two best I've had.
Caleb, if you're listening, I love you, buddy.
Who do you think did better, him or you?
Me? Suck it, Caleb.
Anyway, love you, Snod. Love you, Seth.
Thanks, man. Love you, too.
I was going to say you better say it back. All right, but thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Have a great weekend. Watch some football. Peace.